terms. The difference normally between a 10-year treasury and a 30-year mortgage is 1.75% or 2%. So, and if you look in here, these spreads, like clockwork, in that range. Well, now all of a sudden, they're actually about 310, 315 basis points today difference, which is over 3%. And the reason for that is the value in a loan is the servicing value. So on the secondary market, all these loans are sold, and if I'm going to buy a loan to service it, I don't want a loan this high because I know as soon as rates go down, it's going to get paid off. And so a loan that I bought that I thought I was going to collect payments on for 5, 6, 7 years, which is where the profitability comes in, because that's historically how long loans are held, between 5 and 7 years. There's no value to it. So to make the money, they've just got to raise the rate to cover that spread. When rates went down here, look at this right here. This is probably a 125 or 140 spread right here, because rates were so low. Someone knew when they bought it, they would overpay for that, knowing that that thing might be on their books 10 or 12 years, and they're going to really make a good return servicing on it. So that's kind of a, 5,000 foot view of where interest rates are. Now, what's been happening since June 15th is the Federal Reserve trying to curb inflation and bring everything back down, including interest rates, have actually done what most people think, well, that doesn't make sense. They want to bring rates down. Why are they raising the Fed rate? Well, what it does is it causes the economy to go into a recession, and in recessions, interest rates come down because they have to cool things off. So what we'll see is what we're expecting, the experts, myself included, is starting as soon as this month, you're going to start seeing a cooling of rates. Little by little, we'll be replacing really high inflation numbers from last year over the next 12 months. Like 10 of the next 12 months had really high numbers. And when it comes in with a lower number, your year-over-year number drops, people get happy, and they want to start buying mortgage bonds again because they feel like their long return on those is going to get better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Question.
yeah.
So what you're saying is that you think that spread is going to come back to more what
Yeah.
historically has been normal?
Yeah.
175 and 200 basis
Yeah.
point, which means what? The rates?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what Barry said yesterday, and his thing was, he has a morning thing and then an end-of-day market wrap. Yesterday's was, by the middle of the year, he thinks the 10-year that's around 4, give or take, is going to come back down to 3, and since it'll be trending down, we can expect mortgage rates to be about 5% mid-year. I think that would be fantastic.
Yes.
I'd be happy if they just found their way between 7.5 and 5 by the end of next year, and we just slowly picked up the pace, because it's been a pretty volatile last 5 months. Yes?
When it comes to talking to customers about the rates, and they're worried about the rates staying high versus coming down, I've got a couple questions about what you think of refinancing down the road. I'm not skilled enough to actually say.
Get one of us on the phone. And one thing that, listen, I'm available, and I work all the time, so I'm here to support these talented loan officers, and get me on the horn if you need to. I'm happy to talk to a client and give them my best information, but I feel that anyone that buys now, I would be shocked if we don't have rates somewhere in the high 5s, or high 4s or low 5s in the next 18 months. And so, which this is going to lead us into a program we would really want to educate you guys on.
Yeah,
because this plays right into it with what you're talking about.
It does. So there's like the long-term aspect that we're talking about right now, and what I would tell to a buyer is that the interest rates going into the late quarter 1 and going into quarter 2 of next year, everybody is thinking that rates are going to come down to 6, come down to about 5%. So we got another 8 months before we start to see that start to come down. In the meantime, you can buy a house for $100,000, $50,000 less than you did before. So if you were to buy right now and get a decent interest rate, you can refinance later, right? You can always do that in the long run, but we got a loan program right now that is beneficial for buyers to purchase in today's environment where the interest rates are high. We can get somebody in a loan at 4.5% interest right now. So you got people that can buy now if you explain the lingo and the new terms of this loan to them, or if they're gonna wait, they can wait a little bit longer. Rates will eventually start coming down in the second quarter with the depreciation in values. That might be the best time to buy for them, but it all comes down to what is their motivation, right? Somebody that needs to move now that's waiting, we can get them into a great loan at a great price on the property and get their closing costs paid for. Why would you wait? Well, I kind of want to invest. Okay, if you want to invest and you want to wait till the bottom of the market with the lowest rates and hope you pinpoint that perfectly before everything starts to go back up as far as values, because inventory will come down again. So with that being said, we have a 3-2-1 buy down loan, and Matt's going to go through that. That's how somebody can buy a home right now at a 4.5% interest rate. What are you waiting for, right? So we'll go through what those details are.
All right, so the 3-2-1 buy down, and the example we're going to use is a $500,000 purchase with putting 20% down. You can actually do it with as little as 10% down, and I'll explain the reason why. So with this, you have a $500,000 purchase, $100,000 down, and a $400,000 loan. Now this program has to be paid by the seller, but they're probably pretty motivated to chip in right now. So you've got
Sellers are extremely desperate. You can ask for closing costs, and you can help them contribute to this 3-2-1 buy down to get their property sold and get your buyer the loan that they need.
Yeah. So we've got an interest rate of 4.5% the first year. 4.58 is the APR. The APR just basically is any costs associated with the loan that would not be charged if it was a cash deal. So that's what an APR is.
That's the 3%
Yeah.
lower than what their qualifying rate is at 7.5%.
Yeah. So year one, they would save $770 per month. So 8,400 and 840, that's $9,240. So, and how this program works is it is literally a dollar for dollar. So whatever the savings is what the cost is. So what happens is that money from the seller is just put into an escrow account, and the difference, $770 in year one, $526 in year two as the rate goes up 1%, $269 a month when it goes to 6.5%. That money's put into an escrow account, and the difference is just paid. Now, the one thing I want to do is dispel a myth on this, because one of the things we were hearing initially from people was, well, where do you think rates are going to go? The question you're having. And I'm like, well, I think the odds are you're going to have this refinanced late in year one or somewhere in year two. That's where it's a good fixed rate. Somewhere around, as soon as you can get to that rate or lower, which is the 5.5% rate in year two, I think it's a good idea to pull the trigger. Now, whatever unused portion of this money is left goes towards principal reduction. So basically, if you're asking for, this tallies up to, the savings is about 3.8% of the purchase price. So if you ask for 20 grand in closing costs, 18.8 or whatever the number is would be used for this program. Let's say after year one. So you go out this week, you strike, you get a buyer in, you close the 1st of December, okay? They're gonna have their first payment on February 1st. So if it happens by December 1st of next year, they'll have only made 10 payments. They'll get the $6,312 that they had set aside for the 2% buy down towards principal reduction. They'll also get the $3,200 here towards principal reduction, and then 2 months of this, another $1,500 because they haven't made those payments towards principal reduction. So that money is not lost. It's a nice security blanket knowing that this is worst case for them, that they're gonna see this after 3 years, but odds are somewhere in here, we're gonna get them into a fixed rate, and whatever they didn't need to save the money is still their money. And so it's basically a reduction in purchase price at that point from the seller, and they decide when they're gonna pull the trigger on that refinance.
So when you refinance the loan, there's $10,000 still sitting there in a savings account, essentially, that gets applied back to that loan. So now the loan balance goes down. And the easiest way to explain this is say, we know the environment right now with these high interest rates are keeping you on the fence, but with this 3-2-1 buy down program, year one, you're 4.5%, year two, you're 5.5%, year three, you're 6.5%. Within that 3 years, we got to just get you refinanced. And then when you do that refinance, you're going to have $10,000 come off the loan balance you used to have. what are we waiting for, right? You got everything you need to qualify a buyer in this circumstance and get them into a loan. Real quick, what's the round number the seller would have to contribute to the buyer to make this happen?
It's 18,000 and change. So in this case, if you just ask for 4%, now if they're putting 10% down, it's a larger loan. There's going to be a little more cost. So you'd want to get 5% if you have a 10% down client. And so, but they do have to put 10% down to get the 3-2-1 buy down. We do have a 2-1 buy down that they can do with as little as 5% or 3% as well.
Okay, so the average seller is going to pay, if it's a $500,000 purchase price, they need about 5% in closing costs. Not all of that's going to be used for the 3-2-1, so the additional money left over goes to their traditional closing costs. And you can write an offer right now at or below list price and still get 5% contributions from a seller. That's happening daily now. Gabe, you had something?
So I just want to piggyback what Matt kind of mentioned. So I actually wrote down some numbers just to give you guys a good idea of what the cost would be should your client be interested in the 3-2-1 or the 2-1 or even the 1-1 buy down program. So based on a purchase price of $400,000, the 3% program will cost the seller 4.625% of the loan amount, not the purchase price, but the loan amount. If your client was interested in the 2-1 buy down program, once again, based upon a $400,000 purchase price, the estimated cost that will cost the seller is 2.375.
How much were they putting down on that?
This is going to be based on 5%. So there is a guideline. Should your client be under conventional financing and they're only going to put 5% down, there's 3% max seller concession versus the client wants to put 10% down, then we go up to 6% max seller concession.
Annie?
I just have two questions. So the buyer can't refi for 3 years. correct?
No, they can refi it whenever. So literally, let's just say we hit the teeth of a recession and rates fall off a cliff and they do get 5% by June. So February, March, April, May, they make 4 payments, so they've used 4 of these, which is $3,080. The rest of that money, the $15,000 and change, would go towards a principal reduction if we refinanced them in June before they made their June payment.
So you can refi anytime, and there's no prepayment penalty.
None.
And then, can you just explain again the escrow account?
Yeah, so whoever services the loan is going to have these funds that were paid by the seller to pay the difference. So the monthly principal and interest payment at 7.5% is $27.97. So the $770 a month you're saving here, $526 a month here, $269 a month here, that $18,000 and change is all put into an escrow account where the buyer makes whatever their payment is scheduled and the escrow account covers the difference because it's not used until that payment's made every month because it's saved in case they do refinance. And that's
Their
why
mortgage payment isn't going up?
It
No.
goes up
it goes up $244 and then $247 and then $269. Yeah.
So this borrower qualifies on the gun for 7.5% on the 30-year fixed rate, right? The 3-2-1 buy down. First year, their rate that they experience is 4.5%. Payment of 2027, savings of 771. That's 770 times 12. That first year is what the seller is contributing
Towards their
buy
payment.
down. Year 2, the buyer's payment was up to 2271, so obviously their payment savings is only 526. So it just goes like that. And then the 4th year, they go back to their regular rate. But again, what Matt's saying, the thought is during that 3 years, the rates are going to come down. We can refinance that borrower. Let's say it's 5.5%, and which might happen in sometime year 1, year 2. Whatever is left of the money that the seller contributed at closing, that's applied towards the borrower's principal balance when they refinance. So it's a complete win-win-win for the buyer, everybody involved.
Well, and for the seller, yeah, let's say the seller doesn't want to do this, they don't want to contribute 20 grand, guess what? In 3 weeks, they're doing a $20,000 price reduction.
Yeah.
So let's just get it over with and get the deal done.
And-
Real quick, to your point, you're used to seeing like points as a buy down. When the borrower pays it, it's never refundable. That's why Fannie Mae came out with, and they said the seller has to pay for it, because if they're paying for it, then the rest of that money is refundable, whereas if a buyer pays for a buy down, that money's gone if they ever refinance.
Could you do this and then also have the buyer buy down as well?
You could, so yeah, let's just say you wanted to pay a point and started at 4, this rate would be 7 with the point, and then this rate's gonna become 4. Yeah, so if you got 6% from the seller, you could do both, and then you're hedging that, you know, worst case, I'm gonna be at 7 if the market doesn't change, and they gave you the money, so use it up, so.
A couple things to keep in mind. This is a new program. It just came out because of the environment with the rates being so high. So I urge each one of you guys to sit with one of our 3 lenders, run this synopsis on a few different buyers at a $500,000 to $600,000 and $700,000 purchase price. Go through it a few times, then you'll be able to regurgitate it like a champ later, and there should be, you know, it's just gonna help qualify everybody and get them off of the bench, just sitting there waiting for rates to come down.
Yeah, and as you're writing your offers, if you remember, you can either put for those closing concessions, you can put a percentage or a dollar amount. Get on the phone with your lender partner and say, here's the numbers, here's their down payment. Should I put 4%, 5%? Should I put 18,000? Don't guess on that in your offer, right? Get
5-minute
it
phone
from
call,
them. Yeah.
just call me.
Greg had a quick question.
Yeah, see what's up.
Worst case scenario, the clients will ask, it locks in at 7.5 after 4 years.
Yep, never goes up after that.
Seller has to contribute 20 grand.
Yes, seller has to pay the
Okay,
18 and
10
change
10 and 10 or anything
No.
like that. Buyer has to put at least 10% down.
to get that much. If they're putting 5 or 3, you can do a 2-1 buy down, because
What's the most they can get? My guy puts 20% down, 25%.
at 25, it goes to 9% allowable seller contributions on a conventional deal. So at 25% down, you can get up to 9%.
Wow.
That's the max, so it doesn't matter how much you put after that, but the triggers are, it's 3% concessions allowed up to, the minute you put 10%, it goes to 6. When you put 25, it goes to 9.
We do have marketing flyers for this, so any of the lenders are already ready and prepared to give you that. You can scream from the top of the hills on your phone calls, on your prospecting, on Facebook, on the internet, SOI, open houses. Let everybody know this program's out there. This is a reason to activate you, engage with your buyers and prospecting again. We have this new 3-2-1. Nobody knows about it. You're the first to hear. Use it, be excited. That's why we brought that to you today.
Yep. And we're gonna pay for your buyer's appraisal at closing as well. So if the appraisal's 525, they're gonna see a 525 lender credit. If it's 575, they're gonna get a 575 credit. So just,
Yeah, and Buell mentioned yesterday, he started seeing this on some MLS sheets that the sellers are offering it right up front. So Buell, I'll let you tell them what you've been seeing.
So this is just one example. We're seeing this more and more in the agent remarks, where we're seeing sellers openly admitting they're willing to give concessions for rate buy downs, closing costs, and things like this. I came across 4 of them over the weekend. So the sellers are already primed for this. You just have to prime the buyers, present it to them, and then write the offer properly. And that's where you get your lending partners or the leadership involved to help you write those offers.
Yeah, and it's one
Pretty
more
easy.
thing in your back pocket when your seller is going, Mary, what else can we do? And you're like, I think we've exhausted all options. Add this to your arsenal, right? This is one more thing. This is one more option we can put out there.
You'd say maybe let's hold off on reducing the price right now.
Yeah.
Let's just wait, but let's get into the MLS. And there's a section in the MLS where you edit it and it says, are you contributing concessions to the buyer? And you mark yes. And then we can help you with these notes, and you craft them up and you put them in the agent-to-agent remarks and the public remarks and let everybody see this. So every day now, more and more listings are gonna start doing this, and it's gonna be something common for probably, I don't know, we could sit in this program for a nice year or so.
well,
right?
and here's the thing. We saw the triggers in June when rates first got into the 6s. That was when the market hit the brakes, because it literally went from 4.875 to 6.25 in about 10 days. We had a rebound with that first Fed rate hike and the second one, and rates got back down. I think we locked one in late July at like 5.25 with like 3/8 of a point cost, just minuscule cost, okay? The Fed didn't meet in August, bad inflation hit, and the train got away from them. So even when they raised rates in September, there was too much momentum going against them, and so mid-September, we hit 6.25 again, 6.5, and that's where the brakes were pumped. This will be around heavily until rates get into the 5s. And the other thing is, think about gas prices. The first time we paid $5 a gallon, we were pissed. Then it got better, and then it's like, oh wow, this is great. It's not great, but the buyers will have the same thing. When rates get in the high 5s again, they're gonna be like, oh, gas is in the 4s. Rates are in the high 5s again. And because they've seen 5s, they've seen 5.25s, 5.5s over the peaks and valleys over the last since 2009.
Perception. I love that.
Yeah, and so
And
the buyers, we're Americans. Americans are the dumbest consumers there are, and so the minute they see below 6, we will go in droves. There are so many first-time home buyers out there, more this year, percentage of the population, than any year since 2065,
Millennials.
or 1965, sorry. And next year there'll be even a larger percentage, and the year after. So the minute rates get down, that's why I tell people that are going to be like, well, I'm going to wait for rates to drop and catch the market. Well, remember, when you're on a roller coaster, half the people are going up when you come over that hill, and half are coming down. So trying to catch that falling knife at the bottom of the market, just get in right now and get the 3, 2, 1.
You should, because there's no more homes being built at the rapid speed there were. So if all these buyers are pent up and more buyers are moving in the market and the inventory really isn't there, it's going to get gobbled up again and the prices are going to get jacked up, right? Greg?
Is this owner occupied or can I have an investor do it?
No, it's owner occ only, conventional only.
Good
We will we will have a 2-1 buy down for FHA and VA in the next few weeks, so that they won't do a 3-1 because they've historically had the 2-1 buy down. They brought it out? Okay, so FHA less than 2 weeks. Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, and
2
then
weeks
maybe
to 2 minutes.
something for investors could possibly come out, or no?
I don't know about that. Here was the alternative. Fannie and Freddie were this close to releasing a 40-year mortgage, which is illegal for a qualified mortgage. It's right in the Dodd-Frank law that it's illegal, and they were teetering on the brink of doing that because they had to make homes affordable, hence why they came out with this program. They also believe rates are going to go down. Fannie Mae's forecast is for rates to be at 4.78% by the end of next year. So obviously, they wanted to do a program that made sense for the buyers, where they don't lose this money. So that's hence why it's a seller contribution and refundable, whatever they don't use when that note is paid off.
All right,
I love it. So
we got to roll.
I want to mention, just hearing this from them, I personally feel empowered to have even stronger, different conversations with potential buyers and even sellers. So with that being said, we partnered up with Cherry Creek and we're bringing the daily dose in the office, one, to create more of a sales environment. It's a different market we're in. We can't just be sitting doing nothing. So every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they're going to be here in this area with us. And they're going to guide you on what the heck is happening that day, what news they've heard, what new programs that they're developing, right? They're going to give you that insight. We'll give you some dialogue tips and tricks. We're going to provide you leads, and we're going to get on the phone and kick butt. So Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, starting at 10 a.m. to 12:30. We want that sales environment. And if you're on the phone, be like, you know what? That is a great quick question, Christian. I have my lender right next to me, Jen. Let's get her on the phone with us. I want someone holding my hand when I get objections, right? So thank you for partnering with us on that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. And that's starting next week. So
We're
keep
going to
your
start
eye-
that next week. I'd love to see everybody start coming in, jumping on the phones, tracking your CSU numbers. We have plenty of space. We can sit down with our colleagues. We can get active again and not sit on our butts and not make excuses of what this market's doing. That's what everybody else is doing. That's
Yeah.
not us. It's not this group. We're going to partner and be here for you guys every day and get that energy back. So look forward to it. We'll have it on the Team Up calendar in case you have any questions.
And for you flex agents on Val's team, it's a great opportunity to get around the team members that are doing deals, to learn dialogue and things like that. For team members, if you're worried about it interfering with your one-on-one or whatever, if you're on the phone prospecting, we can handle the one-on-one later. So don't worry about it. Let's get on the phone and get some deals done.
Awesome. Thanks,
Yep,
Beal.
love it.
Appreciate it.
All right, Miss Annie Sawyer from Landmark Meadows Title, come on up. Speaking of seller credits to buyers, she's going to go over. Do we have a microphone, Beal?
We are
gonna go
covering
over.
seller closing
Seller,
costs to
yes.
the buyer.
Well, I wanted to specifically talk about a file I had where there was a huge discrepancy. So these are two different clippets. So this is from the contract. It says the seller is going to contribute $5,000 towards the buyer's closing costs. Later on, I got an addendum that said seller to credit the buyer $4,500 towards buyer's closing costs.
That's
So
confusing.
this reads, the addendum supersedes the contract. So the seller is only going to credit 4,500. So I did that, sent the settlement statement to the listing agent. They okayed it. Everything's good. He even wanted to contribute $1,000 towards the seller's closing costs because he said, I don't want the seller paying the full 4,500. I'm like, okay, great. Send it to the buyer's agent once I get loan docs. Buyer's agent okays the settlement statement. We close, then I get a call. Buyer's agent is like, no, it's supposed to be 9,500. I'm like, what are you talking about? So
nobody read the settlement statement. Let's just start there. Yeah. Okay, right? You read your settlement statement, look for your closing cost contributions. You can't close a deal and then ask for $5K afterwards. That's nuts.
Well, so this caused literally the biggest deal. So yeah, one, agents, you need to read those settlement statements. Like, don't assume I can read your mind, because this is wrong. No offense, but this is incorrect. You need to be reading these settlement statements. Look at that sales price. Look at your commission. Look at HOA. Look at all of this. This is your job as a realtor to double check these numbers, for one. Two, if you're going to do an addendum, you need to add verbiage in addition to, or as well as, or we even have agents blatantly say, total seller credit to be $9,500. If you have to spell it out, that's great.
Yeah, more
Honestly,
disclosing.
Dumb it down. Like,
Yeah.
don't just assume. I'm not telling. It was not in this office. Obviously, I would.
So
It was Aaron Alessi.
she brings all of her other office stuff
It was
over
in
to
a different
ours.
office, but I want you guys to see this because this was a huge deal. So we closed escrow, and I'm like, thankfully the seller got a proceeds check and not a wire, because a wire hits instantly. So thankfully I ran up front, grabbed the check, and avoided it. But then I had to go to the lender and ask, hey, can you guys accept $9,500? Lender says no, it's too much. We can only accept $7,000. So now that's a huge issue. So then the seller had to pay $2,000 out of escrow to the buyer. And we had another deal too, where
They would never do.
I know.
That's illegal. So another thing you don't want to do is give your buyers or sellers any money outside of escrow. If it's
Yes.
not on the settlement statement, it ain't happening and I ain't paying you. Don't
Exactly.
do it. You
The
can't.
only reason why we did that is because we already funded the loan. We couldn't do anything else because of the agent's mistakes. That was the only option.
You're getting thrown in jail.
I know. We'll be pen pals. But also, I wanted to talk about too, if you guys have seller credits and you're a buyer's agent, you need to be calling your lender and making sure that the loan can accept that, because we have another deal. I'm seeing such large seller concessions and it can't be used.
Yeah, we're not used to it. The sellers are giving the buyers so much money, and they're like, yeah, just put it towards a loan, put it towards this, put it towards that. There's caps on stuff. Lenders can't accept all of that money. Me and Zach just had a deal where we had $12,000 in closing costs. The lender would only allow us to use $10,000 of it. So went back to the buyer and said, hey, we'll reduce your price, the purchase price, by $2,000. How's that sound? And we were able to get that deal closed like that.
Yeah, we can also get creative with it too, with any of that extra money, because they are gonna lose it, is we can buy down their rates
Right.
and put that money towards. Right, like,
So you can use the money for that nature, but when people are finding this out, is in the it's too late. Where we have loan docs, or we're preparing
Or
to
we
record.
recorded.
We record it. Like, these are the conversations with the lender, the seller, and basically any additional closing costs you want to use somewhere else. You got to have all these conversations like midstream here, guys.
Yeah, and
The earlier the better.
It comes back to building your relationships with our partners, right? Don't be scared to pick up the phone and say, hey, Annie, this is what I'm trying to do. What's the best verbiage? Hey, Jen and Matt, here's what I'm trying to do. How should we apply this, right? How is it best utilized? Don't be scared to pick up the phone. Please do not guess on your paperwork.
And it's reality. We know not every single one of your deals are going to go to our preferred ancillaries. That doesn't mean you still can't pick up the phone and call them and get a little 2 cents on what's going on, then call a Rocket Mortgage or somebody and talk to them too. So again, we just want to support the hell out of you guys.
That's a great point. We're here to support you guys, grow your business. I can't, dozens of times, I've got on the phone with another lender for one of my agents because they didn't know how to get the deal done. And instead of starting over, I can get this problem fixed and we'll be closing in 2 days. That's right on the tape because that's the right thing to do. It comes back to you in spades because I know that I'm going to get every deal from that agent after that. So happy to do that. I've walked builders lenders through things on how to get deals done, because it was the only way my client could get 6%. And, you know, if we do the right things, get us on the phone, let us coach your people through it. You know, going forward, I'm gonna be here every Tuesday, most Thursdays. My partner Rob's gonna be here on Wednesdays, most Thursdays. You're gonna have a ton of support. You know, if you want any one-on-one time, we go out and have coffee, talk about what to do. Because right now is the time to grow your business.
Yes.
When it's good for everybody. When people make a killing in this business, I got in this business in late 05, got about a 1-year sniff of an easy market, and then I had to grind, and I did for 3.5 straight years. And after that, it's just, your phone rings off the hook, because when that spring uncoils, you've made so many connections with people and given people great customer service and information, even when it didn't mean $1 in your pocket, that you will have all the business you'll ever need.
Well said. What else are you seeing out in the market right now? Anything on the title side that we should go over?
Nothing crazy on the title side. I'm just seeing a lot of cancellations. I'm seeing a lot of, mainly because buyers aren't approved. That's usually the issue. And then just this huge seller credits. That's been my biggest issue right now.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Any questions from the group on title escrow? Jeff?
Was buyer approval rates the same a couple months ago as they are now, or is that changing? Or is...
That's more of a I have no idea.
Yeah, what it is you're seeing, like, our approval, straight up, every deal, you know, we close between 78 and 82% of them, like clockwork. The difference is just fewer people are going into contract, because when rates moved from, you know, they were afraid to pay $25,000 a month appraisal, and now that they don't have to, the rates have gone up 2.5%, and, you know, on $400,000, 32 and 8, you know, that's $660 a month. They no longer qualify. The average person, that's a 10-point clip on their debt to income ratio. So just fewer getting into contract. Cancellations are more, I think buyers are more immediate that happens because they're seeing that rate and payment shock, and they're like, I can't handle this. So get the 3-2-1 in front of them, because what they're going to see is a rate that was $770 lower on a $400,000 loan.
Are you seeing more lenders do the 3-2-1, or is that just brand new with you guys and a few
No,
others?
you know, I think unfortunately, everyone has access to it. It's a Fannie Mae program. So if you're a direct Fannie person, you can do it. What happens in times like these is people just bury their head and then, oh, let's get through the holidays, and they stop working. Get your butt out there and grind. There are buyers out there. There are sellers out there who will do this. You'll be able to pick up listings doing it, and in turn, we'd be happy to do the pre-quals on all these listings.
And the 3-2-1's new, so it just hit the market. We are first to jump on it, start training on it, get it out to you guys. Month old, so it's going to start bleeding into the market, I think pretty rapidly now, because I think a lot of offices are having the same conversation. But we're first to market with it for you guys, and just learn the hell out of the program so you can articulate it to the buyers and sellers.
Do you have a closed transaction with one yet?
No,
No.
we don't, but we will in the next couple of weeks.
Pending? Because I just would want to see the CD. That's all I just look at.
Well, we'll get you that. And then Annie's amazing. She had one of our most difficult REOs with Zach and our buyer.
That was you guys.
Dude, but guys, the customer service is unbeatable. Send your business to Annie.
Absolutely.
She's going to beat anybody out. It's an amazing company. It's a company that I'm JV'd with. I want you guys to do it. It helps me, it helps her, it helps our group. So keep sending your business over. We appreciate all your deals.
Yeah,
Let's give her a round.
especially, yeah, just to say, it's just nice to have those connections with the escrow officers, lenders. This is the time to come together.
That
so.
gets deals closed.
Thanks,
all right,
Annie.
big round for Annie, guys.
All right. Mr. Kevin Wool is not with us today, but he did send over a nice treat for everyone. He is offering a $50 discount for any new orders starting today until the end of December. Want to go to the next slide? And there's a code for you. So if you are ordering this for them on the agent login from First American Home Warranty, use the promo code GIFTY50 and get $50 off any plan for your clients until the end of December.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin Wool.
All right. Greg and Brody Platt from Accomplished Home Inspections, come on up. They're going to talk about some fun piping Kitech stuff.
Yeah, we're going to try to keep it positive.
We got one microphone for you guys to share real quick. Yep.
Keep it positive.
Boy, I love seeing all this creativity in such a dynamic market. That 3, 2, 1, it sounds like a countdown to buy to me. I don't know. Anyhow, and so here we are. The inspector is one of the biggest hurdles in your job, so I'm going to try not to talk about anything negative. But we want to talk a little bit about plumbing pipes and water. Out of all the mediums, really the materials that we try to harness and use in construction and design, it's water is right up there. I remember Bruce Lee said one time, if you want to be something powerful and you have your choice, be water. You know, it's an amazing thing how it is a gas, it's a solid, it's a liquid, and it can cause a lot of damage. It's one of the toughest things for us to try to control, and when you do that with a plumbing pipe. So we want to talk a little bit about Kitech today. I'm going to let Brody kick off just a couple things real quick. Oh, and then I'm going to pass around, I brought a section of Kitech pipe with me. I'm going to pass it around. When you guys are looking at it, take a look at the end here where you can see it's not quite the silver lining you're thinking, but.
All right, so that pipe right there, that's Kitech. It's a polymer pipe, and you can usually find it in homes. It was installed between 1995 to 2007. Now what's unique about that piping was there's extensions of brass fittings when they were installing them. And these brass fittings had a large amount of zinc in them. And over time, as it got exposed to our hard water and dry climate out here, we would see dezinkification at those brass fittings, and that's where problems would start to come. So as that happened, you know, claims and complaints started to come in, and that's when we reached a class action settlement lawsuit. Now that lawsuit, that whole settlement fund, it reached a total of $125 million. And that's to go to the class, that's the benefits to put to their repairs and whatnot. And it's kind of where we're at today. Recently, the deadline was early 2020, but he'll talk a little bit about how there's still some fighting against that as well.
Yeah, so it did end in 2020, the claims ended, but there's still a lot of contests in process right now, and they have appointed a special master to come to a rapid conclusion where they will have settlements for all contested and non-contested matters also. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what we see coming down the pipe in the future. What I want you guys to know about this pipe here is that it's a brand. Kitech is a brand, it's not a type. So that pipe is actually a type of PEX. Okay, to be more specific, it's AL PEX. The AL stands for aluminum, and that's that silver lining that you're seeing in there. And if the hard water's out here, it would dezincify that aluminum, and then the pipes would burst. Fittings went first, the brass fittings. After that, the pipes started going. We don't use it anymore. Just like gray polybutylene is not allowed to be used here in the United States. It might still be used abroad. Go ahead.
Yeah, what happens if, because I actually ran into a property that had that gray polybutylene.
Yeah.
What's going on with that one?
Gray polybutylene is done. There's not much you can do about it, especially in multifamily, because that would have been something that would fall on a HOA, and they're not going to get into it. Yeah.
So is it just as harmful as the whole pipe?
So this came after gray poly. So, and when gray poly started, it was the same thing. We had the fittings started to burst for different reasons. It was usually the colder temperatures it couldn't handle. Kitech would dezincify. It also can't handle the hot temperatures. So it's been a long learning curve to get to where we're at right now. Now we use just a cross-linked polyethylene. That's what PEX stands for. That typically has a 25-year manufacturer warranty. On the gray poly, we stopped right around 95 to the late 90s using it. Not allowed to use it anymore in the United States, same thing. What I tell my clients when I see it in a home is that we saw all the failures with the gray poly within the first 5 years on the fittings. And then the next 2 to 3 years after that is the pipes would start to burst. So if here we are now, and we're 2 decades later, well over 10 years later, and there's no issues with the house, maybe you're okay. Still, I would advise that you talk to a plumber if you're concerned about it so that you get another opinion from someone who's a specialist.
If I'm a buyer and I'm purchasing a home, I'm in escrow right now, it's built from 95 to 07, and the seller didn't say anything about Kitech, how can I find out if that home has Kitech if a seller didn't tell us on an SRPD?
Right, so here's the thing. When I said that's Kitech is a brand, it's not a type. For the Nevada revised statutes, they expect that an inspector is obligated to the best of his ability to identify the type, not the brand. So if you have an inspector, or a seller for that matter, I'm not so sure on that, but if an inspector says you have PEX and it's Kitech, it wouldn't be wrong. So,
And that's a red flag. If the property has Kitech and it hasn't been repaired, and the seller took the money for the repairs and bought a car with it, it means that whole house has Kitech in it, which means it could be anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 to go in and change out all that plumbing after escrow. And you don't want to be the real estate agent after close that says, oh, we never investigated Kitech plumbing with this property, I'm sorry. They're going to be coming after everybody. So 1995 to 2007, find out if it has Kitech. Use the inspector, ask the seller's agent, look at the SRPD, and then I want to say there was a sticker they were putting in the garages, but who knows if they removed the stickers, right?
Yeah.
So Kitech's a big deal, and a lot of the homes in Southern Highlands, and there's some pretty big areas, Del Webb, Sun
Lakes.
City, all these houses started exploding, right? Just water leaks everywhere. So we haven't talked about it in ages. I'm glad we did. It kind of a refresher to make sure if you have escrows during that year built, be aware.
yeah, that's number one. If you have a transaction that falls within that timeline, be aware from there. As far as how do you determine, I've had some people say that, because I've seen Kitech that was red pipe, white pipe, and blue pipe. Orange is the most popular for hot, and I've had people say, but it doesn't have the orange pipe. It's still Kitech. Okay, I can see that it's stamped on the side of the pipe, or I can see it on the fitting. It'll be stamped on the brass fitting too as well. Otherwise, you would need to cut into the pipe for sure so that I can see that silver lining. We can't do it. Sometimes you can't really tell. There's a sticker of Kitech on the panel. The people had it replumbed. They got a plumber in the family. They never did a permit on it.
Yep.
And they say that it doesn't have Kitech, but I can't verify it, and I'm not allowed to remove drywall. You got to get someone out there to show that. Go ahead.
Is there a way, let's say the seller is like super motivated to sell, for them to put money in escrow so that we can still close and that money can be used?
Absolutely. You're going to disclose it on the SRPD, and then you have a hold harmless agreement signed, and everybody, the brokers, the agents, the seller, and the buyer, all sign off saying, we know Kitech Plumbing is in this house, and this $7,000 is being held back in escrow until we close, and we'll get it repaired later. That would protect everybody.
But you'd have to do an escrow holdback on the loan portion, which requires 150% deposit on that amount in case there's a change order or the scope of work becomes a little larger. So if it was a $7,000 estimate, 10.5 would have to be put into escrow, and then when the work is done, the bill's paid, and the rest of the money be released back to the party.
Back to the seller.
Depending on-
And it's an escrow holdback, and that works for foreclosure properties, and it also works for your traditional sales.
I would say the important thing that I want to leave you with, and it kind of ties into identifying Kitech pipe, is Kitech is a brand produced by a company called IPEX out of Canada. They had a number of other products a number of other brands that they also produced. And when the settlement was brought forth, they named all of their products. There's one of their products that we still use out here called Plumb Better in the same time frame, and that is named in the lawsuit. So if you have a transaction where an inspector or someone says, hey, this is Plumb Better in it, which is not Kitech, but it is Kitech, it's basically the same thing, that's not true. Okay? So give us a call if you're dealing with that, because we've had to deal with that before, where a listing agent called us up and like, hey, can you help me? I had the buyer's agent brought their inspector through, and he says that it has Kitech in there, but it's not Kitech. It says Plumb Better, but then they said, well, it's named in the lawsuit. True, it is named in the lawsuit, and it's important for them to know that. But to date, we haven't had any of the failures with the Kitech brand that we've had with Plumb Better. I work with a number of different plumbing contractors. I have yet to speak with one who even knows about it, which means they've never even seen a problem with the Plumb Better product.
Yeah, so there were a lot of people, from what I'm gathering, who took the settlement money and didn't do the repairs because they had never seen a leak.
More so,
Like,
more,
I'm gonna put
yeah.
money in my pocket talk,
Yeah.
sell the house
Yeah.
and be done.
More so with the Great Poly than with the Kitech. Kitech had a lot more public awareness.
Yeah.
So, but yes.
It was on websites all across.
I see houses that they did some repairs, and so there's Kitech in there, but not all of it's Kitech. Some of it's PEX, some of it's copper. So, and then I've seen where they had polybutylene in there too. I've seen all sorts. It depends. If it's an older house, a lot of different work's been done over the time. So who knows what you're going to see in there. So.
Awesome.
So it is
Awesome.
important, but what I want to say is that if you have someone that says you have Kitech, but it's not, it's Plumb Better, give us a call, because the Plumb Better, yes, it's named in the lawsuit, and that's important for the client to know, but we don't have a history of problems with that product, even though it's named in the lawsuit.
Well, thank you very
Thanks for
much.
the
We'll get
information,
that.
man. Appreciate it.
My gosh, there's so many facets of real estate. The education never stops. All right, Matthew Castellano is joining us on Zoom, and he's going to go over some new pricing he has and a special offer he's offering everyone that's here today.
Special offers now?
Yes,
He's all grows up.
Y'all- Matt, can you hear us? There he is. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Matt, we can hear you.
Good.
Good to hear. So for those that don't know me, my name is Matthew. I'm the photographer for the team over with the Alessi Realty team. And I just wanted to go over the new things that we're doing and a special offer. I'll go over that at the end. So first thing, we're just doing a slight price increase. I'm still at the lowest price in town with our starting photo shoot starting on $75. And all of these do the 3D tour. And you guys might actually want to take a picture, or I can send a screenshot over of this little shot right here. That just shows you, how many photos you should have for like each square footage increment of your house and everything. Next thing, I did upgrade all my gear, the camera, tripod, and lens up to some really professional stuff. And now we'll offer an HDR photography with that too. If you don't know what HDR is, HDR stands for high range, and that means that I'll be taking 3 photos at 3 different exposure levels, and then I combine them together for the smoothest color balance and lighting possible. And what that does for you is it gives you really sharp, clean images, and it reduces the amount of editing that I have to do, so it takes some of the noise out of the photos as well. It is really nice.
Next, I'm working on hopefully in the next month or two, I'll have that out to you guys. I know quite a few of you guys have been asking, so I'm really working on that. So hopefully we'll have that in the next month or so. And aside from that, everyone here today gets $25 off their next photo shoot, whether you're on Zoom or in the meeting itself. Thank you guys all for coming and giving me the time to come up and give a couple minutes here. And that pretty much finishes up what I got for you guys today. It's just a quick, short little update. And the best way to reach me is through personal or business cell. If I don't answer your call, just go ahead and shoot me a text or leave me a voicemail. That way I know that you're the first person I need to get back to. I get a lot of phone calls throughout the day, especially with these elections coming up.
Matt, do you prefer them to shoot you a Slack message or text to get their $25 off, just so you have it as a running note?
Yeah, if you guys don't mind shooting me a Slack, that'll probably be best. That way I can keep it all in one area and have it a bit organized.
Matthew, go ahead and drop it on the private Facebook page too, your rates and the offer, and then we'll have Ethan Jr. update your pricing on Element in case you guys need it for later. And good job upgrading everything. That's some kick-ass photography for us.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Matthew.
much.
All right, we're going to look at some CSU numbers really quick for appointment met in October. We have Christian Carruthers with 7 appointments. He came in first place. Good job, Christian.
Hold on. Where's our slides? Where's our slides?
There we
There
go.
they are.
All right, we have Ernest in a close second at 6, and our beautiful Mary at 5, along with Sonia and Leslie Gonzalez at 3. So guys, organic conversations, get in front of people, do open houses, be influential. Good job, everyone.
Good
All
job.
right.
Let's give them a round on those appointments.
And our beautiful Corley.
Oh, Corley get
Our
put on the
beautiful
spot
Corley.
today. She didn't even know.
Yeah. Corley is phenomenal and extraordinary because I was able to call her, and in less than 1 day, I had 7 appointments to see houses. All of my questions were answered immediately. I always felt I could ask her any question. If I was confused or did not understand something, Coralie was there for me. She is truly the best realtor I've ever met. She was here with me every step. She listened to me very carefully and understood what I was looking for. She has excellent work ethic. She's very efficient and worked double time for me. She understands the housing market and gave me excellent advice as I went through the process. She is the whole package and will see you through the whole process of finding a house to purchasing your dream home. Good job, Coralie.
Good job.
All right.
And I'd like to give a shout out to the group. Thank you so much for responding to all your reviews online. They look sharp, they're good, so great job. Coralie as well.
Good. All right, we're going to try to get some time back here because I know we're close to the 11 mark, but for education purposes, national overview of what's going on in the market. Education only, so you can have talking points. Here's where we were. We have not been to this point in over 20 years, since 2002. We're now at 7.08. This all happened last Thursday. The mortgage rates have increased 3.83% points since the end of last year. That is the biggest year-to-date increase we have ever seen in the history. So again, just for education.
Now this is what buyers see. This is what you see online. These are the articles. This is all this stuff, 708, 708, 708. But if you do a 3-2-1 buy down, look at my interest rate just go all the way down to here. Wow, did my realtor just call me and tell me I can get a 4.5% interest rate? Holy crap, time to buy, right, Tiffany? All right, so this is what we're talking about, guys.
All right, so what's ahead for 2023? Thank you, Cherry Creek. You gave us so many talking points today that we can help guide our clients. Listen, forecasts are going to continue to evolve the next year, right? We're going off of what experts are saying. Use that to educate your clients. Tell your clients you're staying on top of it and you're going to keep them updated every step of the way. We need to be aware of what consumers are thinking right now, right? So here is the surveys that came in. Look at that, 34% are delaying major purchases like home or car. You can talk through that now with those clients. They're paying down debt, they're planning to reduce holiday spending, allocating more income to savings, and staying in a job they don't enjoy. They're preparing for a potential recession. So that's the mindset out there. It's good for us to see these numbers so we know how to tackle it.
You think about these graphs when the person is on the other side of the phone or you're meeting with them. This is what they're probably thinking. Work through this. Help them.
Yep. And here's the forecast from experts for 2023 for home prices. But I saw this quote, and I just think it's so important. Deceleration is generally more dramatic in areas that experience the strongest peak appreciation rates. We are one of the strongest appreciation rates we saw the last year. And another talking point I want y'all to hold on to, the value of homes is not what's decreasing. Yes, we're seeing price reductions, but from a very elevated, appreciated price. The true value of the home has not been hit here in Las Vegas. So another thing to keep in mind when you're talking to clients, because it's all about perception. That's what they're seeing. That's what those scary headlines are showing them. But the values are still holding very strong in Las Vegas. All right, and I'll leave you with a quote. If you can find a house that meets your financial expectations for a monthly payment, and it is a good time for you to buy, then do that. And if you wait for prices to fall, but they never do, you may discover the hard way that the house that you found a year ago that you really loved, that you could afford but you passed up on, is more expensive next year.
Amen to that, sister.
All right, here we go. We'll go through these pretty quickly too.
You want to turn and burn through some market inventory? So this is our market watch. It's in Element. You can click, search, and then go through all of the graphs on your own. Share it as you can. But right now we're seeing the month supply has dipped down to 4-month supply. We're at the peak of 4.5. So we're seeing some inventory actually start to come down.
Yeah.
Didn't talk about that in the last couple months.
There's some plateaus and decreases.
Exactly. It's interesting to see where we're going now. The new listings were at a high, 1,800, dipped down to 957 and 752 in here. So guys, the inventory is coming down. What is one reason why people might be holding off on selling? Damn straight, holidays. So a lot of sellers, what they're going to do is they're still going to sell, but they're only going to use an agent that they're talking to today, because as soon as January 5th hits, they're going to market. Decorations are done. Kids are all happy. Let's get this home on the market and start making a move. So the conversations we're having today are the most important going into Q1 next year. Total inventory leveled off. So we got 9,208 homes total on the market. Greg Martin won the inventory watch. He told us what the inventory would be after 2 months. Congratulations, Greg. Dinner or golf? On me. Which one?
Both.
Okay, lunch and golf. Next slide, please. Drinks are always great too. All right, so here's what's sold, under contract, and what canceled. Annie was talking about cancellations earlier. They're not really relevant. They're still staying steady in the 200 marker.
Yep.
Properties sold. So we've saw properties going under contract and properties selling has been decreasing due to those high interest rates. And now they're probably going to start leveling off right about where we are now. So I think we're at the lowest point that we're going to see / December. But we've had some really good Novembers and Decembers with our office. So don't let what's going on out there affect what's going on inside these walls. Next, please.
Look at these sellers starting to listen to their agents.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Well, the good thing is price reductions are coming down, which means values are going to start to level out. But this is still a high amount from where we were, 200 to 1438. So there's still a lot of potential price reductions coming. We really need to get that cut down in half. We start getting back to 600 to 700 of these, we're going to be in really good shape. And you can see that happen really quick going into Q1. So if the price reductions start coming down really fast, Q1, that means the values are going to, multiple offer situations could potentially be happening again. You got to keep your eye out on that trend as soon as it starts in the new year. All right, under 275,000, there's 44 properties on the market.
We gained 4 properties.
So since last year we gained a ton. What was it back in the day when we did this about a year ago? I'm just curious. I won't mess you up, Biol. You can stay where were we?
700.
Where were we at? 7 and 11 back in there.
807, 11, 11, 18, and 21.
Okay. Well, we're not seeing this trend happen in the 275 mark on the other side, so we're going to be in good shape for a while. Next slide is 275 to 500. We're seeing things level off again. Because we're on a time crunch, let's go to 500 to 1 mil. And we're starting to see inventory actually start coming down a little bit. That's a surprise to me, but it did go up a lot higher and faster than most of the other price segments. So the $1 million buyers are starting to come back in a little. This inventory can come down. That would be nice to see too. And the next slide is 1 million plus, leveling off, coming down slightly. Nothing really big there going on. So good numbers, a little more, less volatility I feel like today, more stabilization. We have interest rates now coming down through a 3-2-1 program, and there's buyers out there, there's sellers out there. So everything's starting to feel a lot more normal again around here in the market, okay?
Yep. All right, so following right now at 11:30, our beautiful Jen Whitman has packaged a beautiful presentation for you from Cherry Creek Mortgage. So come join her right behind us. Her presentation's already up on the screen. For those at home, please join her, ask away. She's gonna give you a lot of good information. Tomorrow, Annie's coming back at 1 p.m. to teach title and escrow. We have call night with Buell at 4 o'clock. That's still on the schedule?
Call night tonight?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow,
oh, my bad, it's Wednesday.
We have food, drinks, lead list, all that good stuff. And then we are now going back to boot camp number 1 Thursday with me and talking about buyer first appointment and goals and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
All right, October awards.
Let's go through them and then we'll all clap at the end because we got to jam through those for you guys. Okay.
Highest number of conversations, shocker, Christian, 216, good job, followed by Zach at 202. And we have Deanna at 113.
Good job,
Voice
Deanna.
appointment Mets. We have Christian with 7, Ernest at 6, and Mary at 5. Good job, guys. All right, highest number of closed units. Miss Sherry Sagam killed, man, she had a wonderful October. 4 closed units. We have Matthew at 3 and Brittany at 3. Good job, Brittany.
Good job, Britt.
All right, our top listing agent, Sherry Sagam, with almost 1.5 in volume. And our top buyer agent, Zach Dunmeyer, almost hitting $1 million in volume. Good job, Zach. All right, our Rookie of the Month. All right, we chose Patrick James Ignacio. He's not here today, but I'm going to definitely send him this message. He has just come in, killed his business plan, checked everything off his list, and within a few 2 months, he has 2 land deals about to hit the MLS later this week. So good job, Patrick. What's that?
Picked him for his picture.
Right, yeah. He took it himself too. He's a photographer on the side. I love it. And our Element Award, I'll let you talk why we chose David.
David Terrence, he has gone above and beyond for sellers and buyers with our group. He's a transaction coordinator on the team. He's driven out the properties for keys, alarms. He goes above and beyond on all TC work that we do not ask him to do. And I just felt like between his office duties that he's doing and then driving out and helping our clients, he's just a great team member, and I just want to give him that award for this month.
It's so pleasant to be around. So
He
thank
is.
you, David, for everything you do for us. All right, good job,
Now we
everybody.
can clap for everybody.
Couple of shout outs. I do want to shout out Sherry Saga. My gosh, she had a buyer close, and these are all SOI, by the way, for $790 for a total GCI of almost $20K. She had a listing for $750 with almost $12,000 GCI, and another listing at $710 for almost $10,700 total GCI. So she killed October.
She did such
Love
a great
it.
month.
Awesome. Buell, do you have any shout outs?
Miss Brittany.
Woo!
20,000 in GCI. Good work.
Hello. Good
Great
job,
job,
Brittany.
Brittany goes, I'm back, I'm going to kick some ass. And then like just a month later, there's 3 deals on the board and closed. I'm like, holy shit, how'd that happen? Good job. You got determined and you killed it. So.
Vacation in the meantime.
Oh.
Got to go to Nashville.
Love it. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you back here next month. And please join Jen Whitman at 11:30.
Yeah, let's get some work done. Great job, everybody. Thank you so much for coming.